All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the NFL draft is right around the corner, so I thought it would be a pretty good time to really start this new series where we're going to be taking a look at different positional groupings and go down the list of players that the New York Jets can target. And I kind of wanted to split it up with a couple players with that 23rd overall pick, a couple players in the middle rounds, right, rounds 2 to 3, and then two sleepers, later round guys, 4 through 7. So with that being said, let's jump in. So episode 1 is all about the edge rushers. Okay, so the first player on the list is Jalen Phillips from Miami. 6'5", 260. We've talked a lot about Jalen Phillips on this channel. I mean, really, when we're looking at him as a prospect, he provides so many tools. He has so many attributes that can be utilized at the next level for defensive coordinators out there, or in this case, head coach Robert Saleh. Size, speed, versatility. He's lined up all over the defensive line. Explosiveness, length, range, good in the running game. He essentially lived in the opponent's backfields last season. It was so fun to watch. When you look at the 2020 production, he had 8 sacks. He also sets the edge really well. Not to mention he has upside. The upside with Jalen Phillips is crazy. Now, of course, there are some injury concerns. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. So if the medicals check out and he can stay on the football field, stay healthy, in the game, ready to go every single Sunday, he can practice, all that good stuff, Jalen Phillips can be a force at the next level. The second edge option here for the New York Jets, if he's on the board, there's a chance Minnesota takes him at 14, maybe New England at 15, and then of course the Indianapolis Colts, which I think is his best overall fit. It's Michigan defensive end Quitty Payne. Quitty Payne comes in at 6'4", 270, really athletic, tons of strength, tons of upside, and he plays with it. He plays with one of the highest motors in this draft class. I mean, that's exactly what Robert Saleh wants. I think he would slide in perfectly as that edge rusher opposite to Carl Lawson. Really, when you're looking at all 4 guys, again, we talked about it before, Carl Lawson, Quinnen, and Sheldon Rankins, and now you're adding Quitty Payne to that mix. Those 4 guys can all get after the passer by themselves, let alone being teamed up all next to each other. I think it would be exciting. I think it would be explosive. I think teams would have a very, very difficult time throwing against us. Really, when you look at Quitty Payne, whistle to whistle, he's there. He's 110% giving it max effort every single snap. He can rush the passer. He can stop the run. He has a beautiful, beautiful inside move that just destroys tackles. It's so exciting to watch. So again, I doubt Quitty Payne will be there at 23. There's a chance. There's mock drafts with him going all the way, all the way as high as 10 to the Dallas Cowboys, and then that have him falling all the way to 31 at the Chiefs. So there's definitely a chance. Maybe there's a run on offensive tackles. Maybe the Colts say, hey, you know what? We need to prioritize left tackle because there's tons of really good tackles in this class with, Elijah Vera Tucker, even though he's more projected as a guard, Rousseau, and, Tevin Jenkins is another guy who I really, really like. I think he's really intriguing. One of my favorite players in this draft, but I don't really think, I just don't really think he's going to be an option on the board for the Jets at 23. I think he's going to fall with the Raiders, but I'm getting sidetracked here. Let's move on. So now we're starting to shift into the middle rounds here, guys that could be available in rounds 2 to 3. Say we go Zach Wilson at spot number 2, and at 23 we go Greg Newsome, we go Caleb Farley, Elijah Vera Tucker falls, Tevin Jenkins magically falls. He's the pick at 23. We still need to address the edge position. So I think in round 2, a guy that we can target, I know he's unpopular. I know everybody's hopping off the bandwagon because of a couple traits, and we'll get into it, but it's defensive end from Miami, Greg Rousseau. The 6'7", 266-pound freak is still an intriguing prospect, and I get that it's unpopular to say that, right? We're hearing, oh, he's too skinny. He's too skinny to play the position. He's too tall to play the position. He's not explosive enough. He's not the traditional twitchy defensive end. All those things are accurate. All of those things are valid points. But when we're looking at Greg Rousseau, we can't just look at the negatives. When we're looking at a guy who turned 21 a couple of weeks ago, who dominated the ACC back in 2019 with 19.5 tackles for loss and 15.5 sacks, we can't just look at the negatives and say, oh, well, he's not explosive, so therefore he's not good, or he's not going to do anything at the next level. He's raw, but he has pretty much everything else. He's great in the running game. He's versatile. He's lined up all over the defensive line. He has a lot of length, a lot of speed, a lot of production, and of course, a lot of talent. So at the end of the day, I still really like Rousseau. Yes, he has his flaws, but he's not some, prospect that's not going to make a team or anything like that. I definitely feel like the upside is there as well. You're looking at the fit with the defensive line with Robert Saleh. I think really the best is yet to come with Greg. Next up is an edge rusher that I definitely feel like can contribute day one. It's Rashod Weaver from Pittsburgh. 6'5", 265, 270 pounds. Rashod Weaver's definitely a physically imposing human being, a physically imposing edge rusher, I should say, with consistent production, right? 14 tackles for loss in both 2019 and 2020, 7.5 sacks last season. He is a great get off, right? The explosion, unlike Greg Rousseau, the explosion off the football is there. He's a huge effort guy, right? Plays with that relentless motor. That's one of the traits that Robert Saleh looks for in his defensive players, especially at the defensive end position. I mean, in today's day and age where you have all of these mobile quarterbacks, all of these quarterbacks that can hurt you on the ground, all of these quarterbacks that can extend plays and still fire the football 50 yards down the field, like Russell Wilson and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, you need players on the defensive line that can play whistle to whistle, that'll give it 100% effort through the entirety of the play, that won't necessarily give up if they get beat, they won't give up if the play's not there, they won't give up if they fall down. Weaver provides that intensity, he provides that effort. Great size, great collegiate production. Overall, I really like Weaver, projecting him to the next level. I don't really think he'll ever be like an 11 sack guy. And there's definitely some questions about run defense, but all in all, when you're talking about a guy in the third round, there's always going to be a couple concerns. That's why he's in the third. So I think the upside, the size, the production, and the overall strength and the system fit makes Weaver attractive. So as we transition to the later rounds, 4, 5, 6, and 7, this is where you typically find those boom or bust style of prospects. Guys that have some really likable traits, things that you can maximize at the next level, things that you can build around, potentially build around, but they have more concerns, maybe a little bit more red flags than normal, than the guy that's being taken in round 1 or round 2, obviously. So I think a player out there that the Jets could target in round 5 is defensive end out of UAB, Jordan Smith. Coming in at 6'6", 255. I think Jordan Smith's upside is through the roof. When you look at his athletic ability, when you look at his size, when you look at what he did in 2019, 10 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and just the overall length and the ranginess that Smith provides, I think it's just a matter of getting him in with the right team, with the right defensive system. I'm not saying he's going to be like the overall draft steal, or he's coming in with 14 sacks, as a rookie, but I feel like he can make that impact his rookie season. I think he can contribute on different sub packages, on third and long situations, because he has that speed, he has the length and the range, and he showed that he can do it before in college. So I think Jordan Smith's interesting, maybe in round 5. I've heard some people say late round 4 to early round 6, somewhere in that range, but I think round 5 makes a lot of sense for the New York Jets. And last but not least, defensive end from Florida State, Janoris Robinson, 6'5", 260, great overall size. Sets the edge really well. I've watched a lot of Seminoles football over the past couple of seasons, and Robinson has always been one of those guys that I've never felt like he's been like the driving force of the Seminoles defense, but I've never really seen any humongous red flags, humongous weaknesses. He's always been a solid player. He's always showing up. He might not have like the biggest motor in the world, like a Weaver from Pitt, like we talked about before, but I think when you look at his size, the strength, and the versatility to also drop in coverage, I think Robinson makes a lot of sense, especially if you're talking about round 6 where the Jets have 2 picks. And another quick point on Robinson that I wanted to bring up, because it doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, overall hit power. When he gets his hands on you, you hit the turf hard. Like, he wants to do damage, and that's definitely exciting for guys like Robert Saleh and Ulbrich when you're watching defensive guys. Now, he might not be the best in open field, like running backs out of the flat, trying to tackle an open field needs work for sure, but when he does get when he does get his hands on you, you're going down hard, you will feel it. So I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Who are some edge rushers that you feel like the Jets should target, whether it's in round 1, round 2, or even some of the later round guys, some draft sleepers, if you will. I felt like, of course we didn't cover everybody, right? Every edge rusher, but I felt like with these 6 guys specifically, they would all come in and fit the system, and they would all have a plan put in place by Robert Saleh to develop long term. And I really feel like they're all really realistic as well. Maybe outside of Quitty Payne, a miracle would have to happen for him to fall to 23, but we've seen stranger things. So I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.